Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is Monday. Monday. This is Wednesday, week 3, day 3. Okay, we're here on the exam day. We're going over some necessary steps before we're ready to take the exam. I have here this tab on the calendar that I have all of our names associated with an instructor. And I would like you all to fill out the assignment name as to what you'd like to choose for your code review. Okay, after we do this short introduction into how we're going to be grading the exam rubric, using the rubric, come find us in one of our rooms. We'll be doing the code reviews after this. Okay, so you should all have at least one major core assignment done that you should have ready to use do on this code review, okay? Now let's go ahead and fill this out, have this ready for right after we go over this Python belt exam rubric. And you guys can see my screen? Yes, okay. Kyle, if I miss anything here or any of the other instructors notice that I miss anything in explaining, uh, feel free to interrupt, please. Okay. So, our exam, we are grading, like your WebFund exam, this exam uh, with a score of 8 and above as passing, 8 and below, well, below 8 is failing, right? So all you need is an 8 or above to pass. Okay, you can download a more detailed version of this rubric in the PDF form here. But let's look at this point system and how we can take advantage of it to get a high score on our test. Okay, some of these are fairly simple. If you have been building your code for your assignments the way Kyle and I have been building in the examples and lectures, then you should have all these requirements filled out just fine. Okay, so let's look at the first thing here. This is for half a point. We have working examples of functions, controls, loops, appropriate data types, and basic operators. Here we're just checking that you have proper Python syntax and you're taking advantage of creating variables the correct way, creating functions the right way, and basic operations like for loops, if statements. So make sure you're not using JavaScript syntax or any other language syntax. Make sure you have appropriate Python functions and variables. Next, we're going to be checking OOP. So we are looking at what's called the ORM, the Object Relation Map. And so we are checking to see if the classes in your code, in your models, are they related to one another the same way that your tables are related to one another on your database? Okay, so we want to see that the classes relate to one another the correct way and that they represent the relationships on the database. As you can see, 0.75 for each. Okay, these are required. Now let's go over MySQL requirements. Okay. We want to check that your database and tables and relationships are appropriate to the wireframe. The wireframe, in case you forget what that means exactly, it's this here, this example. We want to see that your relationships reflect the wireframe's relationships. That is between users and posts, or users in this case and recipes. Do your relationships properly match the wireframes? Okay, so make sure that you can show that your database relationships and tables are appropriate to the wireframe. Okay, that's not required, but you still get half a point. And also for MySQL, we want to make sure that you're running the right queries to the database to get that information so that you can properly show the information that you have in your tables. So for information that, for example, in this wireframe here, where you have a table, view all, and it shows the name of the recipe. It's a Boolean value, and then who posted this recipe. That's going to require a join table. So we want to make sure that you have properly created that. So make sure that you have the right query calls, and that's a whole point there. Right? Make sure that you have correct queries. It's a join query when it's a join query, or not when it's not necessary there. Okay. We're also going to be checking your controller to make sure that you have the proper routes. That's half a point. That you're using the proper templates, the HTML files in your templates folder. That is 3/4 of a point. Also that you're using session. Okay. I shouldn't be able to go to any random route on your controller without it being protected. Okay, so let's see here. I should not be able to go to this route if I'm not logged in or registered. Okay, I shouldn't be able to go to this route. I shouldn't be able to go to any of these routes unless I'm logged in. Okay, and then I shouldn't be able to go to edit a route that's not created by, in this example, by the user that created this post or recipe. Right, so you shouldn't be able to go to this route unless you're the creator, or sorry, not this one. Sorry, I'm confusing it. This one here, this is the edit. Okay, so you shouldn't be able to edit or delete unless you're the creator, and so that's going to be a protected route. That's what we're testing for as well. Okay, make sure that you have correct routing. All right, now, and you're going to have to take advantage of session to make sure that the routes are protected, right? So that's 3/4 of a point as well. Now for login and registration, we want to check that you, one, hash your password. So that means you had to use bcrypt. Your password in your database should be that encrypted password that you saw in our lectures. And then this is just a functional registration feature. So that means you can register on your app. Okay, you should be able to register a new user, as well as with that registered user, log in. So login and registration, 3/4 of a point for registration, half for login, and this one here for securing passwords, that's 1/4 of a point. So login and registration's 1.5 points. And now also, the last step here, we're checking for validation. Make sure that your form takes in proper validation. That means you can't have empty form fields. You can't have the incorrect characters for the type of data input that would be received. Okay, so proper validation, that's a whole point there. Modularizes server code into MVC patterns, builds, and ORM models. So this is very similar to the one up here. Check that you're using model view and controller, that you're modularizing your classes. So your models, you're putting your classes in your models, your routes in your router, in your controller. Okay, and what else do we want to check? Let's just check that it has a complete CRUD functionality, right? So that's going to be create, read, update, and delete, and that's a whole 1.5 points. So overall CRUD functionality, 1.5. All right. And with all of these requirements, we have gone over them in the lectures. If you're having any questions about them, please, again, feel free to find us instructors. We'll use this as a guideline for some of the code reviews. Yeah, again, find us if you need to have any explanation. Now with that, I'd say we finished our attendance check here. Let's go ahead and go into our code reviews. Let me just switch my screen here. Sorry about that. Let's go here. All right, so here's our list of instructors. I have Nien, Mickey, and Oriole. Nien, I see you have login and registration, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Mickey and Oriole, if you could please figure out here what you'd like to have as far as your assignments, and for everyone else in the rest of the groups that I see here. Let's see if we can knock out all of our code reviews and be ready for the exam, having nothing in our way. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I know we have one test taker, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of that before I start my code review with my group. But if there's any questions at this point, please let me know. All right, looks like we're good to go. Any comments from instructors before we go ahead and disperse again?
Yes, if for some reason you cannot make it to your code review, remember that you are required to do at least one code review before you will qualify to take the exam. So if you can't make it now, do make sure that you do it before you try to take the exam. You can reach out to us on Discord if you'd like to schedule that.
Thank you, Kyle. All right, let's do it then. I'm gonna stop the share, stop the recording. I'll put this up for us if we need to be reminded about the grading rubric.